Origin Chess from CGX, and this is True Facts 5 Freaky Eels by the channel of Frank. Okay, freaky eels. So I'm gonna guess this video is gonna go insane pretty quickly. That's how usually it goes with zefrank. It's about eels, right? That something's about eel and water. What is like sodium? Eel and sodium and explosion or something, right? I remember the Top Gear episode. Is he gonna talk about here? It's gonna be interesting. Let's see. Why 5 eels? I'm guessing he's gonna talk about some scientific experiment that happened. Those videos are interesting when he talks, takes data from scientists, like links to scientists and things, and they're like, that crow video was insane from zefrank. I still can't believe it, right? That blew my mind, right? When I saw the crow videos, like how insane and complicated they can be, right? So I hope it's something like that. So let's watch one. Remember, flag me and subscribe. That way I know which videos to react to more, and you'll be really helping out this channel by, making like algorithm better or something. I watch many different type of videos, so YouTube goes crazy sometimes. Sometimes algorithm starts to pick up, but I post some other video from other category and just like drops again. So yeah, that's always fun.
This episode sponsored by Imprint. If there's one thing about eels, it's that they keep going past the point that most other fish stop. Now, the garden eels seem a bit more modest about showing off their lengthedness. These eels spend their lives in sandy holes. And you might even think that behind that little head there isn't all that much eel to be had. Well, here's one out the hole, which is very uncommon. Probably drunk, doing the garden eel version of streaking. But anyways, you can see that there's quite a bit of eel in those holes. Now, garden eels make these holes by backing up into the sand.
So eels are just like snakes of water? Is that what it is? I don't know much about eel.
And with their tails. And the holes take on the shape of their movement. And look at that, they can just glide in and out of it willy-nilly. You almost forget for a second that they're full-bodied dry humping a sandy hole. Now for you and me, there'd be some chafing but. Now for you and me, there'd be some chafing but. Garden eels secrete a special kind of mucus from these sorts of cells. I could show you anything right here, couldn't I? I mean, these are the actual cells, but let's be honest. It doesn't really matter, does it? Anyway, this mucus binds the sand grains together.
That is so true. He could literally like, oh, this is like, everybody's like, yeah. I'm pretty sure, like, I've known from YouTube comments, even in my channel, which like barely gets any views, that are always keen people who knows things, right? So I bet like they'll be dominated by comments like, that's the fake picture you show me. That's such a level that even in casual giraffe video, right? When he shows even some say tiger, but just like a different tiger enough or something, he has to put down like, I know this is a different clip or something, because he knows people will bombard his comments.
Together, which gives that hole some integrity and makes sure they don't get any grit in their nethers. Speaking of nethers, I googled it, and their anus is about 2/3 the way down in the front. You know, like if yours was on your kneecap. Jerry, can we show them that with AI or no? Anyway, to do their business, they gotta come out the hole at least that far. But most of the time, they just sort of hang out like this. What they're doing is waiting for some crap to float by that they can eat, like plankton. Like an underwater sushi conveyor belt. Now, when the water's still, it's a bit of a pain in the ass. Not much floats by, and your hunting's restricted to a small circle around your hole. And fish that eat the same food are just zipping around, laughing it up. How's dinner, you eel f***? These fish aren't great at insults. But when the current picks up, it's a different story altogether. The eels change their posture into more of a question mark. They get lower, but still within the range that all that food is whipping by. All of this reduces the drag on their bodies.
Same thing when a human basically go front of like a hurricane or something, right? There's always clip and people just do this type of wing type of way.
And this allows them to eat quite well in conditions where short fish are like umbrellas in a windstorm. F*** those guys. You can see that these garden eels live in like little suburban developments. And sure, once in a while you might get into an argument over the leaf blower, or maybe there's another hole you covet. But living close together does give them the opportunity to mate. And this is one of the few times that a garden eel will come out of its hole, no pun intended, it's a minefield. Anyway, the female goes first and releases a bunch of eggs in the water, and then a male or males will swim into that egg cloud and ejaculate. And everyone's back in their hole again. And for eels, this reproduction story is fairly boring. Take this ribbon eel here, for example. Now, ribbon eels are a type of moray eel that also like to spend most of their lives in holes. The ribbon eel's anus is about 2/3 the way down its body, in the front. So if that was on you and you touched your toes, for example, you'd be face to face, well, not face to face, but you get it. Because this one's all black with that racing stripe, you can tell it's a juvenile. I can also tell that it's male. You know how? Because every single ribbon eel is born a male. As they grow into adulthood, they change into this lovely blue and yellow. Now, unlike garden eels, these eels don't mind buddying up. This older gentleman here, for example, is sharing his hole with a juvenile. Now, there's a whole bunch of reasons why it can happen.
I mean, look, first I saw them like, wait a minute, anything that is that colorful either usually is like really poisonous or trying to attract things. So wouldn't that be dangerous from a deadly predator? But then I realized that is how they get their food, right? They don't go out for hunt, they're just there. The food comes to them or some shit, right? So I guess it makes sense in that way.
But at some point, some adult males turn into females. And when they do that, they change color again to all yellow. Pretty cool, right? Get to see what that's like. Steep price, though, because they immediately mate, lay eggs, and then die, all within about a month. Now, you might have already noticed a couple other things about ribbon eels. One, they've got some shit sticking out their face. And two, their hunting skills seem a bit off. Like, it's right there, right in front of you. Now, these two things are related. In general, moray eels, which are nocturnal hunters, have poor eyesight. Ribbon eels are no exception and are almost blind, but they do have an incredible sense of smell and some seriously tricked out nostrils. Those leaf-like...
I wouldn't say incredible. They apparently suck at hunting, right? That fish or whatever that was even like, come here, get me, like going back and forth, playing with it.
Extensions can sense minute vibrations, and those little sticky-outy barbels underneath its jaw are sensitive to touch and chemical signals. And the ribbon eel uses all these to be an ambush hunter. I think it stretches the notion of what an ambush is, but this is an excellent way to weed out the dumbest fish. But in general, despite their poor eyesight, most types of moray eels are excellent hunters. And this has not escaped the attention of the grouper fish. Groupers will often seek out moray eels. If it's daytime, they'll try and wake them up. And then the grouper does this little head shake, which seems to translate to a request for a hunting playdate. And then they go off together, looking all laurel and hardy. The grouper has the eyesight and is the stocky muscle of the operation, but sometimes a bit too stocky to get into the holes and crevices where food might be hiding. So when the grouper finds something that it can't get to, it does a little signal, bounces up and down like a power-up in a video game. And that tells the moray eel where to go to flush something out. Now, when a moray catches a fish, it does have to figure out how to eat it without cutlery or a plate to push against, sort of like the sushi version of bobbing for apples. To get a bit of leverage, the moray can use its length. They can tie themselves in knots. Some pretty classic ones too, like the figure eight. And this allows them to wrap around things or change their width to pull and push against a surface. And you can see if two eels fight, it's hard to tell.
Yeah, so basically, whenever next time you can't do knot or something, like you go to your boat or something, or whatever, you can't tie a proper knot. Remember, eels can do that with the body. That's how much you suck.
Who's a winning and who's a not? But let me tell you, some of the things that they like to eat, like octopus for example, don't exactly go down easy without a fight. Now to help with that, it has a second set of jaws inside of it.
Nah. Octopus cannot get bit slapped by eels. Come on, man. Octopus are too smart. Right? Do octopus really go be like, like really die and eels do eat them? That would be too much, right? Octopus are supposed to be really smart. Like I've seen octopuses escape from their containment. The humans created for them. Like they even sometimes outsmart human, like run away sometimes. They can't escape eels, come on.
Its throat. Think demon-possessed tonsils. These pharyngeal jaws help to grab onto food and pull it further into the tum-tums. Now this is particularly helpful for certain types of morays that hunt out of the water, where suction-style swallowing won't work. This one's going after a crab. As if crabs don't have a hard enough time with the f***ing seagulls. Run away! But here, you can see that once that moray gets a hold on that piece of food, it gets pulled back into the throat like there's a little hand back there. Now to the pelican eel, this second set of jaws business is child's play. Listen, there are times for being long like an eel do, but when I learn, especially new things, I want it short and to the point. Look at this, a beautiful illustrated series on the physics of a falling cat. This is what Imprint does best. Imprint is a new way to be exposed to concepts in psychology, philosophy, the science of happiness, technology, and much more. All in bite-sized lessons that just take a few minutes to complete. You can turn your look at your phone every 10 seconds habit into a bite-sized everyday learning habit that you can feel good about. I got sucked into a philosophy course about Aristotle's Poetics. Turns out Plato could be a bit of a downer. But just minutes later, I was knee-deep in a visual summary of Samin Nosrat's salt, fat, acid, heat cooking philosophy. It's how learning should be, fun, like an adventure. And to make sure this stuff is sinking in, you can take daily quizzes that draw from all of the different lessons you've taken. There's a reason that Imprint was Google's App of the Year this year, and was named an essential education app by Apple. You should check it out. Go to the link imprintapp.com/zefrank to get a 7-day free trial and 20% off an annual membership. I think you'll like it. I do. Use the link and support this show. Try it today. Where were we? Oh, right. The jaws of the pelican eel are next level. Here, just take a look at an x-ray. Looks like a lizard trying to smuggle a laptop the hard way. But what you're looking at is actually an amazing piece of flesh origami. And look at this, some science hippies made a working model so you can understand it better. What's interesting is that the anus of the pelican eel is about 2/3, Jerry, we're talking about its mouth. Where its anus is irrelevant. No, you're right, it's relevant to the eel. Just enough, all right? Anyway, these jaws unfold and create something almost like a balloon. Here, it's easier to see if we play this clip backwards. Food is a bit scarce down in the deep where it lives, so it helps to have a bit of insurance that you're going to catch what you're after. And you can imagine it not only swallows the food, but a good amount of water as well. Fortunately, it also has a stomach that can stretch out and handle it. Looks like a sperm with a dad bod. Now, I don't think that anyone's seen pelican eels mate. But when a male's getting ready for it, his testes grow and his stomach shrinks, his nose parts get all big so he can sniff a female out, and then he loses all his teeth. And it's not for foreplay. With a mouth like that, you'd swallow your partner home. Jerry, this is dirty.
Imagine if humans did that. Teeth falls out, nose become big, so you can smell. Oh no, hell no.
Anyway, it's a whole body investment into mating. And once they do it, they die. It's hardcore. But listen, freshwater eels take this to a whole nother level. I'm not talking about electric eels. Those aren't eels. I'm talking about eels in the genus Anguilla, like the European eel.
Oh, look, the electric eels are not eels? I'm pretty sure they are the one who go exploding, right? Yeah.
Or the American eel. They spend most of their lives happily without reproductive organs. Then one day they get the gonads, and that's where the trouble starts. Their whole body changes. Their eyes get bigger, they start eating a lot and get all muscular, and then they stop eating and it's time to head downriver. And this isn't like casual tubing with some cans of Bud Light. I mean, they have to get past hydroelectric dams. It's a whole thing. Sometimes they have to shut the dams off. Some have special turbines to allow eels of a special size to pass through. Did you see it? Anyway, if they get past all that and down to the ocean, the real shit starts.
Hold up there. So they created a dam and this turbines knowing there might be eel passing through this, so we need to accommodate that. How much things goes to this level of engineering? Like, okay, we need to think about ecosystem. Okay, which type of fishes are there? Or eel, what type of eel? Like, go through the whole list of shit and then create it. I'm guessing like turbine industry, who has like billions of dollars into R&D, would think about that, obviously.
Undulating way they move is incredibly efficient, pushing vortex rings off to the side instead of behind them. And this allows them to swim very far without eating, because what they want to do with some privacy. But of course the science hippies followed them, just want to see where you're having sex. Would normally be called stalking, but in this case research. Turns out that the European eels and the American eels go to different places in the Sargasso Sea. So for some of them it's like 3,000 miles. Now when they get there, they're exhausted, so exhausted that they're about to die. But first they have an orgy. Now I don't think anyone's seen it in the wild, but here's what it...
Yeah, I don't know what to think of. I'm picking up those butt jokes instantly. I don't know what to think of that, but I knew that. There you go.
It looks like in a tank. The smaller males get all rubby around the female's urogenital opening, and then they release their sperm nearby, sort of like this, but there's a bunch of eels. Here's some other eels doing their spawning thing so you get a sense of it. It kind of looks like, you know how people say your life flashes before your eyes? That, but like for a porn star. Anyway, then all the parents die, leaving a whole bunch of babies of river eels in the middle of the f***ing ocean. Negligent. The eggs hatch into these little larvae called leptocephali, which sort of look like fish roadkill, if that were a thing. Anyway, this is how all eels start, and some fish, so there's lots of different kinds. They have to fend for themselves, eating soft food with modified mouth parts. These things are really small. This gives you an idea of how much they have left to grow. But as they get bigger, you can start to see them swim. And what's cool is they sometimes curl up and take the shape of other things. To avoid predators or just have fun, we don't know. Ocean currents eventually
It's
bring those
predators.
river eels close to shorelines. The larvae then go through a transformation into what are called glass eels. Still see-through, but now much more eel-like. They don't necessarily return to the same rivers as their parents, but they do seem sensitive to Earth's magnetic field. Might help with general directions. Once these eels reach estuaries at the mouths of rivers, all they have to do is go upstream. And they're good at it too. They can climb. They can even leave the water for a while if they have to. I mean, this is the sort of thing you can accomplish as a teenager if you're not distracted by reproductive organs. I'll tell you, if we grew ours late, we'd be on Mars by now. But no, I was hanging out in front of tapes and such at Crossgates Mall. There's a spawning ground for you. I mean, the Sargasso Sea doesn't have an Orange Julius, I'll tell you that. Or a Wetzel's Pretzel, which is the name of an eel sex position, by the way. It's a Wetzel Pretzel.
Yeah, Zefrank researched something thinking how to make sexual jokes. That's about it. That's the whole channel. That's my 4 million subscribers right there. You know, like sneaking information with butt jokes. There you go. But it's always awesome to see it. Man, it's so fucked up, right? Like that, you know, their whole life is about like passing your genes and dying. Imagine humans were like that. We would never reproduce if that's the case. Why would we give a shit? As soon as we have a kid, we're gonna die. So fuck it, I'm not having a kid. Are you kidding me? There you go. I don't care humanity dies tomorrow. That's what happens with intelligence, right? If you're on auto drive, basically, which most of these animals are, you can like categorize their, you know, like brain function as auto drive, basically, because individual thought and like, you know, complex thought like that is very rare with very rare animals. It's surprised, like every time it surprised me if some animal like shows that, like what the fuck. But yeah. So the eel thing attacking octopus. Tell me in the comments that that's no octopus ever goes down like that. Because that would kind of piss me off. Octopus are insanely smart. It's like what, like humans, elephant, orcas, octopus. These are like really smart things. And obviously humans are literally at the top. But yeah. Well, that was true facts. 5 freaky eels. Felt like more, yeah, 5 types of, but yeah, there were way too many eels in this video. This is about channel Zefrank. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.